All right, what's up, everyone? Sean Count Blaggerth here today doing an interview. Uh, Today I am joined by the owner of Down with the Most High. If you're not familiar with Down with the Most High, it is a record label based out of Spain that has been doing a lot of really cool releases concerning Black Death, Bastille black metal, and even some other various subgenres of like thrash and shit like that. So if you're into that, strap in. This is going to be an interview for you. And I want to start this off by saying thank you very much for taking the time to do this.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on your channel, giving us the opportunity to spread the word about what we are doing with Down with Most High.
I am more than happy to do so. And I'm going to start things off by asking you if you can give me some history down with the Most High and its formation, and what labels did you look to for inspiration?
Well, the label started back in 2008. First thing that I ever did under the label was a Watain patch, which was like a large stripe. It was basically something that was run as a hobby. Prior to that, I had well, there is also a pre-release because the label started as by producing merchandise. Releases came shortly after. The first thing that was on the pipeline, but was randomly or suddenly spread, was a Finley Grantium T-shirt at the band from Portugal, which has an history with the label as well. Released their demo anthology on vinyl a few years ago, as well as a split 10-inch vinyl with a Japanese Sabbath. But the first thing we did was a T-shirt. I think it should be something around 2003 or something like that. But these were barely spread and not so much promotion. Yeah, but things started to roll with that Batain patch. Later on, we did the Niflheim leather patch, which was actually the first one we did. And I have to mention that many labels during the last years or merch companies have started doing leather patches, but the first ever that came up with the idea was us. After that, some releases came. First vinyl release was the Omission first album, which is a thrash metal, a black and a thrash metal band from Spain, which is also related to myself because the guitar player, singer, is a long friend of mine. We also have ended up having a band together, a band called Intemperator, but that's another chapter. So the after some releases started to roll, the other patches became reasonable popular. I went through a massive life change back 10 years ago. Basically, I quit my old job and I needed to put the label on hibernation for a period of time, mostly because I need to start arranging stuff on my life, basically trying to looking for a new professional approach. So all my focus was into that. And when the time was right, I came back last year. Officially, the label was launched on 2022. But I was already working behind the scenes on the comeback for 2 years. The difference between the first era of the label and the new era of the label is that I'm doing this now full time. That's basically the main difference. With the hope that more professional, more consistent releases, more well to put a big focus on the label to do even bigger things.
Nice, nice. Um, so I noticed that a theme with the releases that you've been doing lately is you're obviously a diehard fan of extreme music, and I want to ask you a little bit about uh, what is it about extreme music to you that makes it so uh makes it almost a lifestyle in a way, especially for somebody like you who runs a record label. It kind of is. Uh, what is it about this type of music? Does it kind of come from your younger years when you were growing up, listening to like the days of like when black metal and death metal were one? Does it kind of come from those days, or is it just kind of like,
That's an interesting question because I started listening to metal back in 1987 when I was 12. I'm 48 now. During the first 5 years of my metal upbringing, I seldomly listen to any sort kind of extreme metal. To be honest to you, I hate the term extreme metal. Nothing
mm,
wrong about the you name it that, but it's not something I'm familiar fond of. Sorry. But in my case, during the first years, I could listen to some Metallica. Creator was barely noise for me, but I tried that. But all of a sudden, in 1992, I think when I was 17, close to be 17 years old, all of a sudden I started listening to Sepultura, then Sarcophago. It was a mix of genres. Okay, all of a sudden, everything which sounded, which was in the verge of noise, to say it so, was interested me. Um, Even up to this day, I'm pretty much my roots are into traditional heavy metal, even hard rock music. Maybe this shock a lot of people, but one of my favorite band ever, and even today I have an obsession with is Kiss. Which
mm,
is. But on the other hand, if traditional metal and hard rock is part of my upbringing, and that's the stuff I listen to on a regular basis, there is something about the more the darker, the obscure, about the obsidian, about the stream, about the violence of this music, both musically, visually, conceptually, that possesses me. So I think that it's something that fit to me like a glove the moment I got into that. By the time I started to listen to or started digging more extreme stuff, for example, Arise from Sepultura was at the hype, but at the same time that same year, one of my friends, and that's the record that changed everything for me. We were on the queue of a club, a metal club, which was pretty historic here in Madrid in the 80s and 90s. He told me about this band. He bought a record at a record store, which was called Sarcophago, and the album was called Inri. And I didn't even listen to the album, but this is pre-internet era, so everything you build was on your mind. So my friend was describing me the album cover, the back cover, how these four maniacs were all over the place with studs, leather, bullet belts, you name it, and in a cemetery. And I fall in love with the record, even if I didn't listen to that. Um, when I had the chance, there was like no turning back. So I will basically say that yeah, it's something that's something on my nature. I will say that, especially when it comes to black metal and to darker death metal, death metal, the satanic evil way, and even some sick stuff. For example, like Nuclear Death, bands which are all over the place with their imagery, with the music, and for me it's all about the context and the concept and the context. Those short kind of bands hard hit me and are the passion and the motivation to do what I do. That's the main focus.
awesome. Now, I'm going to move along to some of the releases that you've done, and we're going to start off by talking a little bit in general about uh, Gorath and Proclamation. Uh, how did working with Ursipur come about? I'm going to guess you've had a long-standing relationship with him and just the Proclamation guys in general.
Well, we live in the same city, and I have known them for quite a while. I know about their existence forever because, for example, in the case of their of the Proclamation bass player, even when I was in my first band in the early in the mid 90s, the drummer of my band was from the same city in Madrid that the Proclamation bass player is. He told me about this guy who was traveling from Madrid to Paris in France to see the Fuck Christ tour with Blasphemy. We are talking 1993. Nowadays, traveling to festivals all over the Europe or even to the other part of the globe, that's something which is pretty ordinary. But back then, it was a really big deal. And he was like a historic person. Same thing with the rest of the guys. With the time, I approached them to make the Advent of Black Omen leather backpack because I knew who they were. I even saw the band during I think it was the second Proclamation just played in Madrid 3 times. First one I didn't saw them. Second time was the Messiah, the second album, the Messiah of Darkness and Impurity record. And I approached them by the time, I think it was by the time the third album, Execration of Bestial Cruelty, came out. But I knew who they were, and we came along extremely well from the first moment because we were mainly quite alike. So from that moment, it was like a brotherhood started. I was a usual to the rehearsals. I had the chance of seeing how the fourth album developed. I almost lost my hearing because no band on earth played as loud as they played on the rehearsals, with double racks. It was insane. And same thing with Sacrificio. On the other hand, my band Intemperator started rehearsing in front door of we not on the same rehearsal room, on the same rehearsal complex. So we were usual to each one of our rehearsal places, and I have spent an incredible amount of time with them. I have the honor to call them brothers. So each one of them has their personalities. I get along with them, and I will do anything for those guys. And in the case of Usurper, I know if you want to talk about Gorath first, if that's
Yep.
your take, which is actually the latest release of the label. I never listened to the Gorath stuff until a couple of years ago. Even I have known Usurper for 15 years. And the thing is that he wasn't really proud about the Gorath. That's something that is explained quite heavily on the 3,000 words essay we came with for the booklet of the release. Because for him, that was like a formative period on his upbringing. The moment he came into black and death metal, he wanted to start a band. It was like a sort kind of trial and error kind of thing for him. When he started Proclamation, that was something of the past for him. So when the Imperious Jaws of Era demo re-release under Down with Most High was complete, and I handled the copies to the band, it was already on my mind to ask Usurper about releasing the Gorath demos. But the time was right when the reissues of the demo of the Proclamation demo came. You may say that this is something, even the Proclamation demo, that's something that many labels wanted to release, and the band always rejected the offer. I think that because of the closeness between them and me, it ended up happening. And I will say that the result of the reissues, even if I already had done some merchandise with them and they knew the way I work, let's say I know how to pull the strings to make this happen.
Awesome. Now, something that I got thinking about with this Gorath release is, to my knowledge, there really wasn't much of a demand for the Gorath stuff to be reissued because, to be totally honest with you, as much of a diehard Proclamation fan as I am, I didn't really know about the existence of Gorath. I knew of it, but I never listened to it. There was nothing available online. So I guess this leads me to ask you, why do you think it's so important to preserve black metal history? Because this is, without a doubt, an important part of black metal history.
Yeah, you're totally right. I always say that Down with the Most High is we are. I feel that not only myself and the label, but anybody who is deeply into that, we are all in different levels and with different involvement, but we are custodians. We are keepers of the legacy of this music. I think what you are speaking about something that is not hype, that's not it's not popular. It needs of people that preserves the essence of all that. It's not something exclusive about black and death metal, but I think that's really important. In the case of the Gorath recordings, I think that Proclamation, and I don't say this because I have this a strong bond with the band, but I think that everybody that say that Proclamation is a blasphemy clone is absolutely clueless about what Black and Death Metal is. Of course, that's one of their influences, and it's one a band they pay a great respect and tribute to. But there's so much more into that. I'm going to make a short kind of interlude, but I remember by the days the Sacrificio started, Proclamation was already over because the band has in mind that the band is going to record 4 albums and do the Amen tetralogy, and that's it. Because to their understanding, no bands had recorded ever more than four solid albums. But even so, when they were starting doing the Sacrificio stuff, they had some shows that they were booked, okay, that they had to perform with Proclamation, but they were already starting working with Proclamation. I think when it was curious because I told that before, but I witnessed many of the rehearsals. But when they started playing with Proclamation, with the canon, okay, of Sacrificio, you realize that it was so much that the whole sound of the Proclamation production on the releases, which is part of the charm, at the same time varied a lot of the nuances that were underlined, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that they were a really important band, not only because of the music, because their concept and the 4 individuals doing what they were doing are so much into that. I know I knew few people that are more authentic and genuine about their black and death metal beliefs than what they are. So this being said, what they did on the demo, what they did on the split with Titan Blood, and what they did on the 4 albums under the banner of Nuclear War Now, Rose Bay Cult, are for me the quintessential black death metal albums of the last 25 years, and also the whole history of the genre for 4 years. They are the top of the league. I know a lot of people won't agree with this statement, but that's why I feel that, and that's the reason it was so important for me to reuse you to rescue the Gorath stuff. Exactly, you are right, Sean. The Gorath demos were barely spread back in the day. No, they weren't available online. I told you, it took me 13 years to have access to them, and we will talk more about that later if you want, about all the work involving this the putting this compilation together, because it hasn't been an easy take. It's something easy to do, but even Usurper didn't have the master tapes for that. for that. So track them down. That's something we can discuss later. But this was to make the long story short, because I'm just been speaking quite a lot about this. I think it was an essential piece of the puzzle, to bring everything together. And I think it was something that demanded, was necessary. Same thing came about when it came about the reissue of the Gorath tapes, is about the Panopticon scene that came with the reissue, but that's something that we can discuss in due time.
Yeah, I was actually going to lead into what you were talking about with how long it took to compile this LP. What I wrote down for this question is actually your attention to detail is second to none. You do small, subtle things that most people would never think of doing. With your merch, like shirts, buttons, flags, pins, and patches, they're the highest quality possible. You do small things like something that blew my mind when I got this record. This is the special edition. I love how you flood the inside of your releases black. I love how you printed the posters on very high quality paper. The pacing of the booklet is another thing I wanted to talk about, which you can discuss in a little bit. It matches absolutely perfect with the record, and it's something that was very surprising to me considering how English is your second language. This is extremely well written, and your vocabulary is phenomenal. And it just kind of shocked me how well written this was while listening to the record. It makes for the total experience 100%. And I can't recommend anybody enough to pick it up just for the booklet factor alone and getting to experience the pacing of it. But as you were saying, it took a long time to compile this together because, as you said, Ursipur didn't keep anything. How long in total did it take for you to come up with the ideas for like the booklet, the pacing of the booklet? How did you come up with the ideas to do I think it's still in the jacket? Nope, I took it out. Where is it? To make this replica flyer. Like, it's absolutely brilliant work, and your attention to detail is just insane to me. So, how long did it take total for you to make this entire package, not only just from the packaging element and coming up with the ideas for that, but for sourcing the material for this?
Well, actually, it has been a real ordeal to make to compile and to put everything together. I also have to credit some people which has helped me all over during the whole process. First of all, thank you very much for your words of recognition. Not only in the case of this release, but I want to release stuff. Not only the stuff, but the way the stuff is released is meant to me. How many times I have received an album or compilation, a box set, or a tape that has been highly anticipated, and I have been disappointed by the final result. I think that I always say that I spare no expenses, okay, about doing quality stuff, because the market is overflowed with so many releases that there is two things that are needed in these times, in my opinion. One is passion, and the other is quality. Passion, that's what leads it's my goal, it's my focus, it's the ethos of the label. Quality, that's something that goes hand by hand. If I'm not ashamed of charge a few more for our releases, knowing that we are providing quality. From the stock of the paper, of the posters, from the time and dedication on doing the booklet, because it's not only about doing the layout, because that involves a graphic designer that needs to be paid, and also an incredible amount of stuff from other people. But going back to credit people, I started thinking about doing that, and I have a friend who is the guitar player of a Spanish band called Opositor. He's much younger than me. I think he's his early 30s, but he has been following the label since the first era. His first show was Proclamation with Blasphemo Fagar from Italy, which was actually the last show ever played by Proclamation in Madrid, third show. And also it was the first, my band Intemperator was supporting and opening the bill, and he was there. So when I started to relaunch the label, we got in contact. We were starting. His name is Buffalo Vomit, and he was saying me, it will be great to reuse the Gorath demos. And I said, yeah, that's on the top of my mind. That's something I wanted to do. He had, I think he had 2 of the 4 original demos. He tracked them and he bought them from one of the guys from, what's the name of, I completely forgot the name of this Spanish band. I will think it will come shortly after, but so he got 2 of the tapes, and I got and when I had the blessings of Usurper to do the reissue, I knew for a fact that we had 0 material. So Buffalo Vomit helped me not only providing the tapes, but also being an assistant on the whole part of the release. It was like a consultant because he had an obsession also with the band. He even tracked and had dubs. Okay, second generation of the third generation of dubs of the tapes, but we wanted and assure to have the best quality sound quality possible, considering that these are boombox kind of recordings. You know, this is never is going to be audiophile kind of recording, but even if it's pretty much it's very noisy, we needed to track down first generation tapes. The owner of Kiss of Shame Records, and also who was also is the singer of Goat Vomit, Hideous Abomination, provided a huge, incredible, a lot of help as well. He sent us from Greece some of his original tapes. Okay, so even we had copies. He sent us copies of some of the demos we had from. We even had doubles. Okay, so we went into a studio. We brought two cassette decks into the studio, 2 different cassette decks. Okay, what we did was brought them into the studio because the studio, that's a professional studio which is close from the Down with the Most High office warehouse is. But they didn't have a cassette deck to make the transfer for the master to send to press. So we used 2 different decks, and we were picking each one of the tapes we had available, and listening to in which one of the decks we had the best quality, because depending on the tape and the deck. So it was like quite massive. Just to compile the demos, you can imagine that it took a while. We made it to the studio. We did the transfer process, and also Hideous Abomination of Goat Vomit sent us a lot of stuff. He sent us a copy. He actually had 2 copies of the Panopticon sign. He gifted me one, the one we use for doing the replica of the reprint of the sign that comes with the record. We also have another copy that the bass player of Proclamation provided us. Also, he sent us all scans of all the correspondence he held with Usurper back in the day. So most of the drawings you see in the booklet, which are not part of the actual artwork of the 4 demos and the compilation, because that's all explained on the booklet. Programmation released Gorath released 4 demos and a compilation featuring the first 3 demos. So he sent us all the correspondence, and we kept the correspondence as private. The only thing that we reproduce was the last, not the last, yes, the last prior to the back cover of the booklet. We made a scan, we reproduce a part of the letter on where usurper is telling or writing to Hydus Ovination about proclamation Gorath going to an end, the new era of proclamation and panoptical sign. So that's the only thing that we reproduce, because I think that it was like historical. It was like a moment in history. He also sent us some flyers. I think that also some of the demos came with a flyer. Buffalo Vomit also had some flyers, but compiling all this took nearly a year and a half or something like that. On the other hand, the flyer that you have shown, which is a replica, which is an A4, we never managed to track an original on paper, so we couldn't scan it. The only place we saw it was on the Nuclear War Now forum. Buffalo Vomit made a screenshot back in the day prior to the Nuclear War Now forum went down forever. I have a friend that is also helping me with some stuff with the label here on the warehouse and the record fairs we attend, which is an illustrator, and he made a exact replica of the flyer from the scratch. He copied that. The guy is immensely talented. He doesn't want to spread his name, but he has if anybody wants to check out, he has a profile on Instagram called Hell Above Us. He posts there pictures of concerts, but what he actually is really talented at is doing illustration work. And he made this replica from scratch. And if you see anything that I post that something online on Instagram about the screenshot and the thing, it was impossible for him to do like a blueprint, he couldn't use that as a blueprint. So yes, it was an incredible amount of detail. And when it came to the booklet, I'm quite used to write. I wrote 2 signs back in the 2 issues of a sign in the 90s. I studied journalism as a degree in journalism. That was my first profession. But language has been something that's been always really important to me. I try to develop my English skills as much as I can, because that was the key, to access to the underground. So I basically wrote the core of the 3,000 words that makes this essay, but I had the help of I don't know if you're familiar but maybe some of your watchers are familiar with a sign called Eschatology, which has released 2 issues. If you are not familiar with that, I truly recommend that to you. This guy is also a close friend of mine, and he lives in Barcelona, but we are pretty much mind alike. I have known him for a couple of years when I started the label, and I was starting making posts, not because I not only post stuff on the socials related to the label. I once again, for me, it's important for me to keep the history of the label, of the releases I do, but also some other releases which have been influential. He was writing comments about the stuff I was posting, for example, about the imprecation 7-inch, which came in 1993. I say, okay, this guy writes in a way I could write. It's like my equal soul, you know. We have a passion for the same kind of bands. Um, he also played a really important role in the making of the writing of the booklet. So I would say that it was a 50-50 um, uh, co-work between both of us. So just to make like a whole resume of the release, it's been like nearly a year and a half to put it together. Working on.
All right, so we had a little bit of technical difficulties. Go ahead and continue talking about the struggles of the Gorath release and whatnot, because this is fascinating to me.
Well, it is as I told you, this has been quite an ordeal to make the record. Yeah, I normally tend to be really specific about what I want to do when it comes, for example, in terms of layout and everything. But I have to say, I try to surround myself by reliable people, and it's really, really important for me to have a connection with them. It's the same that, for example, when I start working with bands, I want to sign. I believe it or not, what I usually do if I'm going to work with a new band, for example, be it Crucifixation or Mythical, which are two of the bands I have released stuff this year. In the case of Crucifixation, has been their debut demo tape. In the case of Mythical, it was a compilation of the band's 3 demos and some unreleased tracks. Both bands are going to record an album next year. Those albums are already recorded or almost recorded and going to be released next year. But I knew their music. I like what I listened to when I was approached by Mythical and I approached Crucifixation, but it wasn't enough for me. I need to have a connection with the bands I work. You can submit an email, and of course, that's a sort kind of communication that works in most of cases. But what I like to do in the case of working with new bands is having a video call with them and then discuss not only about how which are going to be the royalties, as which are going to be the percentage. It's like to see if we have uh, a connection and we have similar views, and to realize if we are going if both parts are going to be comfortable working together, if we are going to understand each other. Having similar visions, we don't have need to be clones, and we can disagree on points about certain kind of things, but that's really important for me. And same thing goes with the people I try to surround myself by the time of doing a release, whatever it is. Even it's a graphic designer, it's a consultant or somebody which is helping, or the pressing plan or the merchandise company that is producing the stuff I do, whatever it is.
Absolutely. So something that I wanted to talk about as well is the Proclamation release, and many Proclamation fans I can speak on behalf of. Thank you for finally being the one to release this, because it's something that Proclamation fans have been really wanting, is this demo to be released. There's tons of third, fourth generation dubs floating around that just sound terrible that nobody wants. So it's nice to have an official version. And the amount of versions that you did, I thought was great, because we have the cassette tape here, we have the standard CD, and a really awesome, elaborate 2 CD edition that came with a bunch of extras. And then on the vinyl side of things, there was the black vinyl, the picture disc, and of course there was the red vinyl box set that was absolutely awesome to get, and it features the Black Conjuration rehearsal, which once again you can find cheap fourth, fifth generation dubs of it, but they sound horrible. So, could you tell me a little bit about this release of this demo and how it came to be and how you were able to get these good quality sounding masters?
Well, actually, it was much easier than doing the graph stuff for a reason. Um, that's because Angel Offensor, the drummer of Proclamation, he is a really methodic kind of guy. He is the kind of person who has a really impressive archive. Everything is extremely organized, and it was quite easy to have access to everything. He kept the original masters, he kept the original artworks, flyers, photos, you name it. It was it was a really something really easy to come across because it literally took hours to put all the material that was needed to do the release. And how the release came into life, that's a different story. But it wasn't as challenging as, for example, doing the garage stuff. On the other hand, the demo was something that many labels wanted to release. I told before that the label, the band, always rejected them. I think that both the fact that I have this kind of the union with them, and on the other hand, knowing that I was going to do something in the Down with the Most High tradition, was convincing enough for them to have their approval. I wouldn't say that it was something really difficult to make. By the time the compilation, the demo came a year earlier, Nuclear War Now made the reissues of the 4 albums, which had been out of stock for a while. Basically, even the first pressings of the records were pretty much alike in terms of layout. The label, both Nuclear War Now and the band tried to unify the layouts of the 4 releases to make even more consistent and more like minor difference. If you compare a first pressing with the reissues made 3 years ago, there is not much difference, but you can notice some of that.
Yeah, and
It was
cor-
such.
correct
Go
me if
ahead.
I'm wrong. Just because I don't have any of the first presses, and I'm gonna guess you definitely do. Aren't they like thicker, bigger jackets than like the gatefolds?
Yeah, the Gatefolds were something that I think the only album that originally came as a Gatefold, if I'm not mistaken, on the first 4 or the first pressings, was the Execration record, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, because because of that photo or the Gatefold photo, but all the 3 albums came as a single jacket LP. Okay, so basically it was not only because they were being gateful, but about how the composition and the layout, especially of the backs and the inserts and everything were put together. So basically, for me, we go every time I think of a release, for me it's essential to stick to the era it was released. Bringing into the release alien elements, that's something that will never work for me. Okay, so you can, if it was produced around the time and it belongs to that context, you can put that into the release. Otherwise, it absolutely makes no sense for me. Okay,
That's something
even so,
that that's something I can't stand is reissues being modernized and changing the layout and changing the artwork, even like with Satyricon, like they did with those first 2 albums being reissued on Napalm. They changed the layout, they changed the sound, they changed everything. That's something I appreciate about a lot of labels, especially like NWN, they keep the reissues looking very close to, if not almost identical to a first press.
Exactly, and it gave us a blueprint to make the layout. Okay, we had to introduce some changes because, for example, in 3 of the 4 proclamation of records, you have 3 band photos on the back. We just have 2 for in the case of the demo, but it serves us as a blueprint, with the exception that we went for black and white because the demo was black and white. So we are not going to introduce a red color into the layout for the sake of sticking to the records. The demos were black and white. So I think the most difficult part was to convince, especially Usurper, about doing a reissue of the Black Conjuration rehearsal, because even the band never considered it as a part of their discography. They
Hmm.
spread it back in the day to a few contacts, and it got bootleg, especially by a label from Spain, Barcelona, from the Catalonia area. But they never considered that. But once again, I say, okay, because I wanted to do like a single package with everything together. They didn't seem to be really comfortable with. So, okay, why don't we do a special edition for Die Hard? Not everybody will have to. Well, I think it made sense. It also give us the opportunity of making 2 separate jackets to do like a expanded version. So I know that some people say things that it's overkill to release so many variants, but I think that some people do appreciate that, especially in the case of the box set. It has to be something massive in every sense. So doing having the second each album with its own sleeve, it was really important. Same thing for the CD. Both the CD and the vinyl version almost have the same extras. There are more, of course, on the vinyl record, because with the CD you have so many limitations because of the space.
Hmm.
But the thing was, for the box set, both in the case of the CD and the vinyl, records were produced in the Czech Republic through GC, a pressing plant, but they didn't make these slip cases, which is this kind of synthetic leather, which is so. On the other hand, I wanted to. I know for a fact that they can produce high-end packaging, but I always like to have supervision whenever it's possible about what is being produced. There's 2 reasons which are mandatory, and which is like a milestone. They are foundational pillars for the label, and it's the fact of producing stuff in the European Union. There are 2 reasons for that. I prefer to support our own economy. I'm not a chauvinist, but I prefer, and if I can even work with the Spanish labels, with the Spanish suppliers, I prefer that. The Garat LP, in fact, was produced on a Spanish pressing plant, which we are going to work from now on, because the service is top notch. And I can have access to speak to them, even if they are 400 kilometers, which is something is away from where I live. Hold on a second, because I ran out. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Because I ran out of battery on my headphones.
Ah.
I prefer to work with labels which are with suppliers which are close to us. So the slip cases were produced here in Madrid, and I had supervision and could see how they were assembled and see the quality and everything. So it was really important for me to give this release in be this the single or more simple black vinyl version to the deluxe edition with with additional poster, the inserts, the replica of the bio, which once again was provided by
Hideous Abomination of Gold Vomit. He also was really helpful with the Proclamation reissue as well. We try to be as comprehensive as possible in terms of doing something really important. I think that it was something that people were demanding because the demo, in the case of Proclamation, musically and also league-wise, it's something that is not as close as people may think about what they later become the records. The approach was different. There was this transition from the demos to the album. I think that you could see how the band started to go by the time they released the split with Tatum Bluff. I think that the fact that the bass player came into the band was really Reverend Captor was also an important role, because Usurper, the music was composed by the band. You have Usurper ideas, you have a mysticable Angel Offensor drumming, which he's kind of drummer which is influenced by Diddy Crazy, but Paul Lane, by James Reed, you name it, but each one of these people brought into the band something into the band. But the case of the demo is something that musically and conceptually is more different than people would expect from.
Yeah, the demo has a much more, and I don't mean it in a bad way when I say this, because I've listened to that demo CD in my car probably for 4 months straight, and I'm not exaggerating. I've just kept that in my CD player. And I've examined it many times against the full lengths, and when compared against the full lengths, it sounds less hellish when compared to them because of the production, but it still has this extremely uh menacing atmosphere to it that's a little bit different than the full lengths. The full lengths I've always felt like embodied what I always thought hell sounded like, whereas the demo is just more barbaric and more chaotic, but and almost more listenable in a way.
Absolutely. The production plays a major role in all that, and the approach of for when it came to the albums was like more bestial. I don't see Proclamation as a war metal band. Many people put that into that bag, but I don't think that that's where they belong. Yeah, of course, you have the blasphemy elements here and there, but their thing is to bring the more barbaric side of Beherit or Sarcophago and Blasphemy, and doing something so chaotic, even Death Cries or bands like that,
Mm-hmm.
and make it the most barbaric kind of music you could. Also, when it came to the production of the Proclamation records, everything was so much balanced, but you can see more dynamics and more ranges on the case of the demo. One thing I have to finish at some point. I work with both Usurper and Angel Offensor on the script of a mini documentary of the Empires of Era demo I want to do at some point, and this is something I want to do on video. It was intended to be a part of the promotion for the release, but truth being said, with so much on my shoulders, it couldn't be done in time. But it's something that I definitely want to do because it explains a lot behind the concept of the demo, and there is a lot going on in the lyric context. Back in the demo days, it was pretty much influenced by the Conqueror Manifesto by Pete Hellkamp of Order from Chaos and Revenge. But at that time, Usurper was 20 years old. I'm telling you, each one of the members of Proclamation brings something into the whole game, to say so. But in his case, when it came to the lyrics, to developing concepts, is a really smart person. Despite the barbarians you see in the band, he's really one of a kind when developing concepts and stuff and knowledge. Yeah, so that's something that at some point should be expanded from the edition, doing a documentary. I hope at some point I will be able to edit, do it properly, to come. The script is more or less written, but whenever I have the time, one of these years, I hope it will be good to unearth or to release at last.
Just imagining that has me excited. I would probably watch
I can
that.
listen to you now.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I don't listen.
Can you hear me?
I can listen to you. I can listen to you now, Sean. Hold on a second, please.
All right, we had technical difficulties. Anyways, something that I was gonna say was, if that documentary sees the light of day, I will probably watch that way too much. That has me extremely excited at the thought of that because I'm a sucker for documentaries. Now, something else I wanted to talk with you about was this really awesome release you did of Sacrificio with Guerrera Eterna, and this really awesome edition in a metal cassette case that came with a necklace, with the metal case itself actually being die cut and all the information being laser etched onto it. When I got my hands on this, I was floored. This is the coolest cassette I have in my collection. How in the hell did you think of this?
Well, in the case of Sacrificio, I had the privilege to see how the band transitioned from Proclamation to Sacrificio, and I even made some people think the first recording of the band is a mini LP, but or EP, but it was intended as a demo, and they came to me and said, "Okay, we want you to do a cassette version of this, like a promo." Then Nuclear War Now and Iron Bonehead will release the EP and later on the album. So I made the cassette version. It was released by Down with the Most High of the demo EP, wherever you want to call it, which is self-titled. And I'm going backwards to those early days, because one of the things I'm not sure if many people know, or not everybody of your watchers know, is that I made the photos for both recordings, for both releases, for the EP or demo, and also for the Guerra Eterna.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm not a photographer, but well, I will say it was good luck. I got to give you a good story about the photos. In the case of the demo, we have to make that session twice, because they were shot analog, totally analog, and I'm not a professional photographer. I'm not a photographer, to say it so. And we made the full set of photos, and by the time I don't remember now the name of the word of bringing analog photos into physical format, into
develop
paper, to develop. Exactly. Thanks, Sean. All of them came black, so we have to shoot the photos again. When the Guerra Eterna album came, if you see that cover, it's all about fire. It's blood, fire, death. Okay, it's fire and it's metal. So it's like a mixture of the forgery to do weaponry, heavy weaponry, to go into war, because Guerra Eterna is eternal war, translated from Spanish to English. So so I was involved on that. I saw the photos and I say, this record is neat metal. It's neat metal, but not only because of the music, because I think Sacrificio is a really underrated band. It's really a pity that the band never managed to play live, and it never approached the status of Proclamation. I don't even if the music is more easy to listen and to digest for the public. I think that there are some reasons. That's something that we can speak on any time. But the band never got the recognition and they deserve. But I think Guerra Eterna is maybe I wouldn't put that at the top of my favorite releases, or because this is our milestones. Both Proclamation and the Sacrificio stuff are milestones in my opinion. But for me, Guerra Eterna is the best album, black and death metal album ever recorded in Spain, ever. Period. And also, I think it's one of the best black metal albums of the current millennium. By the time of doing the reissue, the album was already released on vinyl and CD by Nuclear Burnout and Iron Bonehead. So I spoke to the band and the labels about doing a cassette edition. They all agreed on that. In the case of the regular edition, placing the cover, the actual photo on front, like you could do it on a square, putting the logo on top. It looked awkward, and the band didn't like the idea, so we went with a different approach. And I say, okay, I want to do something that makes justice to this album, that is a statement. The release, especially the Die Hard edition, has to be a statement as much as the album is, and it deserves nothing but something as special, as outstanding, as heavy as the record is. So I came up with the idea of doing the cassette tape, and I never saw a cassette tape. This is not a factory that produces cassette tapes, cassette cases for tapes. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So what I do, one of the things I do, and that's another chapter, but among the many things I've done in my life, I work for many. My family has got a company which is specialized on high-end services on interior design, doing tailoring and upholstery and things like that. So for a good part of my life, because I have worked with the family while I was studying, and I work with them for quite a lot of time. So I'm quite familiar with craftsmanship, with crafts and craftsmanship, and craftsman work. Okay. So I always try to be involved and surround and explore and investigate and going to fairs, to be to professional fairs. Always on the hunt of seeing, crafters and suppliers, printers, anybody who can bring something into that can be a good ally, to do something like that. So I came across a company that were doing some custom work on metal, and I brought to them the idea. It took 6 months to develop the cassette. For a cassette that was limited to 100 copies. The person from the company underestimate the work and it will involve, believe it or not. And I have to tell you, you see the 6 variants of the Proclamation demo on the vinyl, the black vinyl, the picture disc, the 2 box sets, CD and the vinyl and the demo. All that was together was much simpler than to do the cassette, the metal cassette version. It was a nightmare to do that. Also all day, because we have, when you hold the demo, every time I go to a record fair and I have shown the people and ask, what is this? I say, hold it. Because you are expecting to hold as a cassette, but the weight is actually 4 times what any cassette actually weighs. it was not only about that, because we also made an alternative layout for the insert. And I tracked down a company was producing like parchment paper. We made the prints, the printing, or the print of the interior insert, which is a fold out. And my wife hand cut each one of the 100 copies and hand folded every one of them. Same thing for the envelopes, wrapping the whole packaging. Also, I work on the layout for that, and also I have to one credit to her, to Anik of Temple of Mystery Records, which is now has gone out of business, and who is also the singer of Kaushamar, the band from Canada, and he's a graphic designer who is doing a lot of work for many labels, including Nuclear War Now over the years. And she made the layout for the Proclamation reissue of the demo, and so did for the Sacrificio tape. It was really trial and error to make to put this set together. Yeah, basically the same thing for the sticker that comes with the inside, with this a metallic sticker. It has to be like, the paper is parchment because it's old-fashioned. It's like almost medieval when it comes to the paper that was used, and the sticker has to be metallic. Yes, exactly, metallic to fit the concept of the tape. So all in all, it has to be like, it's like a perfect cycle, to say it so.
Yeah. Now I'm going to end this interview by, first of all, I want to just give a side note with just my thoughts on Sacrificio. I think they played an excellent tribute to the bands that they grew up listening to. That's what it sounds like to me, is they're playing exactly what they grew up listening to. And it's just some of the best of first wave style black metal that I've heard. If my viewers aren't familiar with Sacrificio, go listen to them right now. But what I wanted to end this with is by asking you if you have anything in the works that you can talk about, and where can my viewers go to order your releases, and where can they go if they're in North America to order your releases?
Okay, starting our releases now in North America are available from Nuclear War Now. Also, Nuclear War Now has the exclusive distribution of the Proclamation demo, so you have to head to them. Also, Hell's Bangers have some of our releases. If some of those are basically the main two sources over there. Some of the Die Hard, I don't like to use the term Die Hard because it's like special edition or whatever edition it is, but some of the limited edition, like for example the Gorath color vinyl, which comes with 2 extra posters that you have shown, or the Proclamation box set, are exclusively available from us through our website, which is downwiththemosthigh.com. Also through our Bandcamp page, you can reach us through there. And there is a lot of stuff coming in the works. Now, Crucifixion and Mythical have finished their albums, which should come next year. I truly recommend anybody to pay attention to them. I'm also working on the reissue of the Asgaroth EP and demo tape, which is a black metal band from Spain, from the second wave, from the mid-90s. I have a connection with the band too, because the first band I ever sang on was a band called Charlathorn. I released a demo, 2 demos. I sang on the second one, and an EP on a label from Spain called New Gotia back in 1995. And then, sorry, 1996, and Asgaroth was on the same label, and we were label partners back then. And it's more like traditional. Some people may be surprised that I'm releasing this kind of stuff, which is not as barbaric as some of the other releases. Down with the Most High is known for. But I think that it's worth material, and it's going to come along with the demo. We are currently working on that. Also, something that has not been largely announced is a three-way split album between Decade from Portugal, Caipsal from Portugal, which also has just released an album on Nuclear War Now, and Cemetery Lights from the US. All bands approached me and approached the label and wanted to release this conceptual three-way split, which is recorded by the three bands. Decay submitted the recording a couple of weeks ago, and we are going to work to record on the recording on working on the layout for the release. So it's going to be released during the first quarter of the year. It's really special because it's based on Egypt, on the Duat, which is the another world of the ancient Egypt culture. It has a drawing from Haiti, who is playing in Rightful Revenge and has made drawings for bands like Witchcraft, Cemetery Lights, and Regret Sinister, and many other bands. Besides the Crucifixion and the mythical albums, there is also some this compilation, the cassette version of the Best Album Operations compilation that Nuclear War Now is putting together. There is a bunch of merchandise on many bands that are releasing records or reissuing stuff on Down with the Most High. There is also the Nocturne de Manto compilation demo, which is a split release with Zombie Dance from Belgium. Nocturne de Manto was a black noise band from Belgium, which is one of the sickest stuff you may ever listen, and that's pretty much done. Also, I hope during the first quarter of the year, I will be to announce something that is absolutely groundbreaking. It's not a release, it's merchandise, but I can say that it's above the average merchandise. It's something that is about almost involves jewelry and involves art. It's actual art pieces, and I will say that it's with one of the fundamental. It's one of the most influential black metal bands. That's something that I've been working for 4 years. That it's something that is like a new branch for the label. I can say more for the time being, but I think it's going to be like a feast on the table. Something I'm really proud of. But I can say more for the moment, but you will see. And also the Asgaroth, not only the EP from Asgaroth and the demo, also their full album, which is only available on CD back in the day, will be released next year. So much more stuff that is on the works.
Awesome. Well, thanks. And that's going to do it for this interview. Want to thank you once again for doing this interview with me, and I'm going to encourage all my viewers to go check out and support Down with the Most High. Links will be down in the description to everything from where you can purchase his releases all the way to social media links. Follow him, go show support, and if there's anything else you want to say, go for it.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Sean, for giving us the opportunity to talk about our releases and also about the philosophy and everything that is surrounding Down with the Most High. It's really important for us to make people understand what's the difference between our label and what other labels do. There's a space for everybody, but we are working really hard in order to make a statement with everything we do. I just appreciate your time, dedication, your passion. So keep up with the good work. Once again, thanks for having us.
And thank you very much. Have a good one.